Hi folks, so some thoughts on aggression and reactivity. I know I talk about this a lot. I get a lot of clients working through this. So firstly, massive thanks for all your contribution over the last week. Had lots of engagement on my post. So huge thanks to you for doing this. It helps us reach more and more people with the message of positive training. So the post I put up last week, and I know I talk about this, but it got a lot of engagement, a lot of comments, and a lot of interesting stuff came out of it, of the dog. When we were working with the golden retriever, we were working with the Romanian dog, and the two golden retrievers come into our space. So if you've not seen it, I've done a full breakdown on it on this page, and it's on my YouTube channel as well. And you can see the shorter video as well. So one of the critical comments, many critical comments, not as many as massively overwhelmed by the people who thought it was helpful for them. So the 95% of people thought it was useful information. So thank you for that feedback. But one of the critical comments on it was that we shouldn't have exposed our dog to that scenario. Now there's a spectrum, okay, a spectrum. So, and it depends how risk averse you are, what resources that you've got available to you, and how skilled you are. So one of the things I will think about when we are engaging in a behaviour modification or a training program for a dog is, in a utopia, in an ideal world, if we had unlimited time, resources, money, and skill, what would we achieve? Okay, so that's what we're aiming for, but we're never going to get there. Okay, so we basically scale it back into what is achievable. I'm also conscious rather, of these are the excuses that people use in order to up the level of aversion that they're using with their dogs. Okay, so I try and train in as real life scenarios as possible. I am not risk averse. I take calculated risks. Realistic position as possible, but I have a responsibility to my client, to their dog, to the public's dogs, and also to myself. Okay, so I've got those responsibilities. So given all of that in the package, how much can we achieve? Okay, so one of the people had commented on it and says that we should just be doing setups. Okay, so a setup is basically when we work, when we do we control everything as best as we can. Okay, and I mean everything. So lots of setups happen when trainers have facilities, okay, which I don't. So they have premises, a warehouse or a workshop unit. They work outdoors or they work indoors. They have stooge dogs, so dogs which they bring out in order to have our dog work around. Okay, so those are set up so we control absolutely everything that we can. All right, now there is a time and a place for that. There absolutely is. When I'm doing workshops, so I've got a workshop in Slovenia next month, and we will be doing setups for that, okay, because we can set it up. We've then got the opposite end of the spectrum is where we just take the dog out for a walk down the street and see what happens, okay, and I try and get somewhere in between that, okay. I am aware that what's not expensive just now, okay, what is not expensive? Price of butter and eggs and milk, price of fuel, everything is so expensive, and people have got limited money, so they've got limited money to spend on me for consultations. So what I have to do is I have to try and equip them in either 1 or 3 sessions in most scenarios with some skills for them to start be getting on with. Okay, so a scenario which is this is not uncommon here. So I live in an urban environment. I live in a block of flats or an apartment building, and lots of people do that as well. So if they take their dog out into the street, how do they deal with encountering people and dogs in the street that their dog might react to? So we don't have the luxury all the time of setups. regardless of the best of our intentions. Life is going to throw things at us which we need to be equipped for. So when I'm working with clients, I have to try and help them get their dog better. Okay, so that's the first thing. So how do we make improvements on in their dog's behaviour, more settled, a happier life? And I also have to talk to them about and equip them with the skills necessary for what happens if this goes wrong. So if we're only ever dealing with ideal conditions all the time, then and we're never challenged, okay, then there's a possibility there that we don't grow. All right. Now that's not to say that. So if you want to look at the video from last week, those two golden retrievers, I would have placed money that they would have walked past, but they didn't. Okay, the same way as I could. I'm going to the gym this evening. Touch wood. Okay, I will have a safe drive to the gym, and because it's been safe all the other times. Okay, and when I'm driving, well over 99.99% of the time, I drive and it is safe. But we can't legislate for everything all the time, and that's what these videos are, what it was meant to illustrate. What happens if. Now, lastly, see if we're getting the what happens if a lot. If you're out and these scenarios are happening over and over and over again and they are not rare results, I would suggest that there is something wrong with what you're doing. Okay, so if we are putting our dog and ourselves in positions where these things happen regularly, we're training in the wrong environment. Okay, so we must mitigate as much risk as we possibly can, but unless you're so restrictive on your progress, and I would actually say fairly unrealistic in the conditions that most of our clients in cities live, we're not going to make the get the results that we're looking for. Okay, so getting the dog better and equipping the client with skills. And very lastly, this will be lastly on it. A couple of people commented on how calm I was during that. That's years of practice, okay? Years and years and years of practice of knowing how to move my body, observing the space that we're going to move into, being able to predict what our dog, the client, the other dogs are going to be able to do, okay? And also, I did previous work before, which gave me a skill base of working under pressure. And I brought that into dog training with me. So there's lots of stuff going on there, okay? Yeah, so just some thoughts on it. Hopefully that's been useful. Much love to you, much appreciation for all your continued engagement, and I'll catch you soon.